And I read so many negative things about El Paso that I cried for an entire day after my husband told me that we would be relocating here for his job. Welcome to my channel. My name is Deja G and I am so happy you're here. So today we're going to be talking about El Paso. I've been living here for 5 years and it's been an awesome 5 years for me, and I just felt as though like this video was just such an awesome idea. One of my subscribers actually asked for me to make this video, and when I started thinking about it, I'm like, wow, I wish I would have had something substantial before I moved here, like in terms of getting a good idea of what El Paso is like and whether or not it would be a positive fit for me and my family. I had no idea when I moved here. Matter of fact, when I moved here, I started researching things and I read so many negative things about El Paso that I cried for an entire day after my husband told me that we would be relocating here for his job. I literally cried for an entire day. I'm talking 24 hours, guys. It was bad. I could not even go to work. That's how hard I cried. And it didn't make it any better that every time I went and like tried to find something else positive about the city, it just wasn't out there. The information just wasn't out there. I found like articles that said stuff like El Paso is the armpit of America, and I even talked to family who had been stationed here in the military like maybe 10-15 years prior to, you know, that date. So I would say like 20 years ago, and they told me don't expect to see chain restaurants. You know, it was like a lot of that kind of thing. So when I found out we were moving here, I just thought I was moving here to die. Like really, it was that dramatic. And to be perfectly frank, this has been the most amazing 5 years. El Paso has been so good to me and so good to my family. And that's for various reasons, and so I'm just going to talk about a couple of those things today. I'm also going to talk about some of the challenges that come along with living in El Paso, because there are definitely challenges. There are some things that I do miss about having access to a larger city, to having access to a larger airport, things like that, and I'm definitely going to go over those. So I do have my phone because I made a list just so that way I don't miss anything. But yeah, so let's get started, guys. Without further ado, let's get into this. Let's talk about the good things, right? Let's start with the cost of living and the fact that El Paso is one of the safest cities in America. It's very, very safe. Yes, we are across from one of the most dangerous cities in Mexico, but big picture, our city is super safe. This is a military town. We have one of the largest military bases here in El Paso, so there's a lot of folks who come in and out of El Paso. So you'll see a lot of transplants. You'll see people who live here for a few years and then they're out, and then there's other people who move here and then they stay. So when we initially moved here, because I literally had no expectations, well, I had low expectations, we had a plan that we were only going to be here for 3 years and then we were out. Like, that was it. I didn't care. I told my husband that's all I could do was 3 years. And yeah, 5 years later, we're still here and we're thriving and living our best lives, right? But so number one, the cost of living. Wow, the cost of living is amazing. We came here and we bought a house right away. We were pregnant with our first child, and you know, we just, after researching and looking at the cost of apartments and homes and everything like that, we just realized it would be much more beneficial for us to purchase a house here than to rent. We moved here in November and we were in our home by the middle of December, and the house that we purchased here is over 2,000 square feet, and we bought a brand new house. So no one lived in this house before us. The only thing I wish I would have done differently is I wish we would have built our house from the ground. So what we did is we bought something called a spec. So our house was already built, but they were just like expecting someone new to just move into it, and but no one lived here before us. In hindsight is 2020. I was pregnant at the time, so I just didn't have the patience for anything. I'm like, look, I need a house. This is the house. It is what it is. But in hindsight, that's one thing that I probably would have done differently. One of the awesome things about our home is that the property value has increased dramatically just in the past 5 years, and which is awesome. We live in a really new neighborhood, and our neighborhood is thriving. Since we moved here, they've built like numerous shopping centers right near here that are walkable, and it's just an awesome, all around awesome place to live. And I think this is what you would call a master plan community, right? So everything is easily accessed here. Within a mile of our home, we have like Walmart, movie theaters. We have every single fast food restaurant you could think of within 1 mile of our house. And then we also have a bunch of different restaurants also that we can walk to. And yeah, it's just awesome. Awesome all around. I think one of the best decisions we made was purchasing a home. And because the cost of living is so great here, a home that probably would have took us a little bit longer, where we were more established in New Jersey, to purchase, we were able to purchase here. And so, you know, hey, it's been great. It's been an awesome thing for us. So in addition to the cost of living, daycare, super affordable. So if you have children and you're moving here, you can probably expect to pay about half of what you would pay in a large city. So our son goes to one of like the premier schools on this side of town. It's actually one of the more expensive schools on this side of town, and we still pay on average, compared to what our friends pay in like larger cities like Austin and Atlanta and things like that, we pay about half of what they pay. And our son goes to school full time, and we also include lunch. They also make lunch for him. So yeah, and we're like saving a mint. So now that we have 2 kids, we're gonna be putting 2 kids in daycare, which it's still expensive. I mean, it's like a mortgage payment basically, but it's a lot less than what, you know, we're paying for 2 kids, what our friends are paying for 1 kid. So that's a huge win for us. But with cost of living comes, you know, if you're looking for a job here, you know, like me, when I moved here, I didn't have a job. I had resigned from my job that I had. And what I quickly realized is, first, there are companies here, but there's not a lot of major companies here. And then there's other companies who have offices here. So you have like ADP, you have large Verizon locations. Amazon just announced that they're building a large factory here, a distribution center here next year, which is awesome. That'll be great for jobs here in El Paso. But when it comes to like a lot of other companies having like headquarters here and like their corporate office here, it doesn't exist, right? Unless it's like a family-owned business or something like that. So looking for a job can be a little tough. Other thing, traffic. Traffic is amazing here. I feel like I have probably been in traffic about 3 to 4 times the entire time I've lived here. I mean, but I also am very fortunate in that my job is very close to where I live. And then also, my husband's job is very close to where he lives. So, I mean, to where we live. So it's like, you know, he can get home within 10-15 minutes, and I can get to my job within 3 to 5 minutes. So, which is crazy, but I love it. I went from having over an hour commute when I lived in Jersey and worked in Philadelphia to now it's like my commute is non-existent, right? But even without that being a factor, traffic here is nothing like it was when I lived in Philadelphia. So if you guys spend a lot of time in traffic and you move to El Paso, you're going to be blown away. I mean, now there are a lot of accidents. I'm not going to lie. I don't know about these El Paso drivers. I have been in 1 accident. My husband has been in 2 since we lived here, which all in together, my poor son has been in the car with us every single time that an accident has happened. So that's been unfortunate. The drivers here are not the greatest, and none of those accidents were our fault. We were literally hit every single time. Every single time we were hit. So, and it wasn't even like something that could have been avoided if we did something different. It was literally out of our control. Like the last time my husband was hit at a stoplight. He was just sitting at a stoplight and someone slammed into the back of him. So yeah, I would say that, yeah, the drivers here, not so great. That's just been our experience though. The people though, awesome. I love the people who live here. I love the culture here. It's just, everyone's very friendly. When we had my son, we didn't realize how friendly folks were until we had my son, and there were so many instances where people came up to my son and just like touched him or hugged him or something, and it threw us off. I'm not gonna lie. We're from the Northeast. No one will ever hug your baby in Philly. Like, they just won't do that. You won't be at a restaurant and an older woman would walk up behind your baby and just hug your baby. That would not happen, okay? Not unless they were trying to get taken out or something. I don't know. But here, it's the norm. So, you know, that just goes to show, like, the culture. Like, you know, it's just very, very different. And in a positive way, you know, it kind of has allowed me to let my guard down a little bit and be more like open and friendly myself. So that's been awesome. Another awesome thing about this city is the food. The food is amazing, okay? So I was all worried about chain restaurants when I moved here. We do have chain restaurants. That's not even a thing. Like, of course, we got like Olive Garden, Red Lobster. You got all that stuff, right? But I don't even eat at chain restaurants anymore. I only eat at like El Paso based restaurants. Most of the places we go to, they pretty much just are here in El Paso. Like, and I think I would be devastated if we ever moved because we have so many favorites now. I mean, over the past 5 years, we've really explored the food here, and I've been so like, I mean, I don't even know. Even when I go back to Philly, I think about like different places that I would go out to eat to have, like sushi, for example. The restaurant that I have here that I eat at to get sushi is 10 times better than any sushi restaurant I've ever been to. And you would have never thunk it. I mean, like, come on now. I'm in El Paso, right? It's a border town. Like, you just wouldn't think that the food would be like so amazing. But, you know, Mexican food is a regular thing for us now. There's a lot of things that I did not even know existed before I moved here, and now they're like some of my favorite things. Chili con queso is one. Like, I don't think I ever had chili con queso on anything back home, and now it's like that's a regular thing. Like, oh yeah, I want this, I want the flautas with the chili con queso. You know, it's like, I don't know, it's just like it has opened up my eyes and my stomach, and that's why I stay in the gym, because yeah, I like to eat. Your girl likes to eat, okay? And that is not going to change, especially not living here. So some of the challenges here, I would have to say, is property taxes are pretty high. I don't know why I had it in my head that property taxes wouldn't be high, but they are. They're pretty comparable to New Jersey. They're not New Jersey taxes. No one has New Jersey taxes, right? But they are pretty comparable. So that's something you have to consider if you do plan to purchase a home when you move here. Another thing is entertainment and nightlife is non-existent. It's not a major city, so no major artists come here for concerts or anything like that. I think Cardi B came here after she canceled twice or something like that, and that was like a big huge deal. I could probably name on one hand like how many folks have actually come here and put on concerts here. Outside of, like, we have a big music festival every year. Like, outside of that, I like just individual like concerts. I think Kevin Hart did a comedy show, and that was a big deal, right? And what else? I don't know. I don't even know what else, guys, because it just doesn't happen that often. And so that's a challenge. Coming from a big city where, like, you know, we used to go to sports games all the time. I was always getting tickets to, like, Sixers games and Eagles games and things like that. I do miss doing a lot of that stuff. And I really feel like our nightlife lacks. And not because it doesn't exist. It is non-existent. But also, it's one of those things where you have to kind of know where to go, and once you know where to go, then you can have a good time. But also, it's not consistent. So there are so many bars here, so many bars. Now, when it comes to nightclubs and things like that, there's not very many nightclubs, not for people our age. I'm in my 30s, so not for my age. Now, when it comes to colleges and stuff like that, they have a lot of like college bars, because UTEP is located here. So they have like something called Cincinnati Ave, and down there they have all these different little bars, which my husband and I do go to. You know, I'm in my 30s, but I got a little bit of young energy with me. Ow. But yeah, so the nightlife is just bars, and downtown is not like your typical downtown. And I do miss having like legitimate nightlife. So that's another thing. What else? Let's see. It looks like my camera's about to pause. Hold on, guys. Okay, so the airport. That's another one. That was what actually set me off with tears when I first found out we were moving here, because I had looked at like how many, I couldn't even get a direct flight from Philly to El Paso, and that just set me off. I'm like, how am I even gonna see my family? I mean, I was coming, I moved here from a major city, so I never used to do layovers unless it was like dire need. It was a last minute flight. Like, I was a direct flight kind of girl, and I travel a lot. Like, before we moved here, my husband and I used to travel a lot. I mean, just for example, in 2014, I think we went on like 10 different trips. Not like, and I'm not exaggerating, like I think we legit went on 10 different trips, including our wedding was a destination wedding. So we were always on an airplane. And so when I saw that I could not even get a direct flight back home, it was just devastating, right? So that is one of the challenges here. That's one of the drawbacks, is that, you know, it is really hard to travel in terms of getting a direct flight. And then even the flights out of El Paso are pretty expensive. On average, we pay about $350 to $450 just to get a flight per person, just to get a flight back home to Philadelphia. And it usually takes us about a 7-hour travel day just to get back to Philly, which sucks. It just does. I mean, no matter how you slice it, it just does. And since we've moved here, it hasn't gotten that much better. The flights are just still, you know, you just have to do a layover. You leave at the crack of dawn. You're always gonna have a layover somewhere. You just, I don't know, you just get used to it. But I do wish that that would change. And I feel like El Paso is a city that is on the rise and it's growing. And I feel like with growth, that will come. So I don't think it's like the end all be all, because you can eventually get to where you need to go, but a lot of times you'll have to take a connecting flight out of like Dallas or Houston or Atlanta, because I think it's only like 8 different cities that we fly to direct. It's like Phoenix, LA, I know them all, right? But yeah, they're all like, you know, cities that are fairly close to us, and it takes you to a hub, so that hub will, you know, be where you can actually catch a flight to get to Jamaica or to get to Cancun or to Cabo. I mean, we are literally on the border of Mexico. I can see into Mexico when I'm driving down the highway. If I look to my right, I'm literally looking into Mexico and houses in Mexico. It's that close, right? But to get a flight to Mexico, it's crazy. Like, it's just ridiculous. Now, there is the option to fly out of Juarez, Mexico, but I don't speak Spanish, and Juarez is a very dangerous city from what I understand, and I've been warned that it's not somewhere you want to just be going. So yeah, no, we're not flying out of Juarez. We haven't attempted to do it. I think if I was more adventurous, if I didn't have kids, I probably would have attempted by now, because the flights, from what I understand, are like dirt cheap to get out of Juarez. You could fly to like Cancun and Cabo for like $100 each way versus paying $500 a flight, you know. I mean, $500 round trip. You can go for $200 round trip out of Juarez. But yeah, your girl ain't going out of it. I ain't going to Juarez no time soon. So that's not even an option for me right now. But I'm looking forward to a day when El Paso does expand its airport, because I think that's coming the more the city grows, because I do see the potential of this city getting to the point of like Phoenix, the same type of vibe, and they're building so much here that, you know, I could see that happening in the next like 5 to 10 years, probably 10 years. But yeah, so shopping, there's no premium stores here, and premium as in I'm talking like, you know, any designer stores, or we don't have an IKEA, which is crazy. All of these people who live here in all of these homes, everyone has a house here and there's no IKEA. I'm like, IKEA would make so much money. They would make bank here if they opened, but nope, we don't have an IKEA here, which sucks. So also the distance to a beach is just non-existent. I mean, you can drive into Mexico. I forgot what the city is called. I know some of my friends, they vacation. There is a city that you can get to where there is a beach, but for me, like I said, I'm not crossing the border, so for me, I think the closest beach is maybe San Diego, and that's like a 10-hour drive. And we're closer by being on West Texas. We're closer to Phoenix and Arizona, Phoenix and like New Mexico and places like that, than we are to Dallas and Houston, which is crazy, right? I think the drive to Houston is maybe like 11 or 12 hours, and the drive to Phoenix is only like 6. So when we do want to get away for a weekend, we'll go to like Tucson, Arizona, or we'll go to Phoenix and just stay at a resort there, which we love. We do that every summer. You guys have probably seen some of the vlogs for that. If you haven't, definitely check them out. But yeah, there's some beautiful resorts in Arizona. So we do miss having that quick drive. When we lived in New Jersey, we were only 45 minutes from Atlantic City, and you know, there's beaches all up and down, you know, Jersey Shore, fist pump, ow. But yeah, we were really close to a lot of beaches, and we took that for granted. I really feel like a lot of things that I miss about New Jersey are things that I did not take advantage of when I lived there. So also, what else? I feel like that is my list that I have here, but I feel like I want to just stress about the fact that El Paso is not a very diverse city if you're not Mexican, right? So, you know, I want to say it's like 90% Mexican and then like 10% everything else. So the first few years that I lived here, I did not meet many black people here, which, you know, was very challenging for me at first, but now I don't mind it as much. And the crazy thing is now I meet a lot of black, well, I actually see a lot of black people, so I think it is becoming more diverse. There's also not a lot of white people. There's also not a lot of Asian people. Like, you just don't see a lot of other races. You primarily just see Mexican people here. And what else? Which is a challenge when you have a child, because I want my son to be able to know other kids who look like him and who look different from him too. But I want him to be in a more diverse environment. And his school that he goes to now does have some diversity, which I like. But that is a challenge here. And, you know, no matter how you slice it, unless you're probably on the military base, where I would think that is probably very diverse. You know, if you're living in El Paso and certain parts of El Paso, you're probably not going to run into a lot of diversity. And I live on the west side, or the northwest, in the northwest area, but yeah, so I don't know how to slice that, guys. And I don't know if that's something that, if you're moving to a new city, that you're looking for. But I feel like if you live on my side of town, on the west side, you're not gonna see a lot of people who look like you, if you're black, right? But if not, you know, hey. And if that doesn't bother you, then great. It doesn't bother me anymore. Before, I used to be like, darn, I just wish I could see somebody who looks like me. But now it's just like, you know. And like I said, I do see a lot more folks. So it's just an interesting thing, right? I kind of miss the big city life sometimes. But overall, am I trying to rush back to the big city? Absolutely not. Will we be in El Paso for a while? Yes, absolutely. And even if we were to move tomorrow, I feel like El Paso has done nothing but amazing things in my life. And if anyone were to ask me if they should move here, I would definitely say yes. I would say that your experience is definitely gonna be different if you're single versus in a relationship. The family dynamic here is very different. A lot of folks have multiple kids. So I come from New Jersey, where none of my friends, and I'm in my late 30s, none of my friends have kids. They just started having kids, you know. And here, all of my friends my age have older kids, and also it's just one of those things, right? They have multiple kids, so you know, it's very normal to see families with 5 children, 4 children, things like that. But back home, that's like I'm the one with a lot of kids and I have 2, right? So, which is crazy. So, you know, just those different things in terms of the culture that you're gonna run into here in El Paso. But overall, it's an awesome city. I highly recommend it. And if you guys have any more questions for me, definitely comment below, because I will definitely answer them. And if you need me to make another video, I totally got you guys. I will tell you anything you need to know about El Paso. I'm your girl. All right, thank you so much for watching today, guys. If there's anything else that you would want to know, feel free to hit your girl up. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.